Wedding Talk with Mindy and Carol, your insider guide to trends, tips, and stress free planning.
Hi, this is Carol.
And I am Mindy. So, welcome to Wedding Talk with Mindy and Carol. Between Carol and I, we do about 50 destination weddings a year. And we are excited today because we have one of my former brides who just recently got married at Secrets Playa Blanca here with us today to kind of talk to us about her experience from planning a destination wedding from the United States. And throughout her process, Cadell and I started working together, was probably like in January, February of last year. And we did come across a couple little bumps in the road. So she has a really nice story. So we're gonna just like dive right into it. So Cadell, welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
So you got married at Secrets Playa Blanca in June. So very recent, just a couple of weeks ago. So congratulations and
Congratulations.
everything to you. I'm excited to have you here because I saw some sneak peeks of some of your pictures and they were just absolutely stunning.
Thank you.
And so tell us a little bit about your process. So you found me through destinationweddings.com, correct?
Yes, I did. I knew I wanted to have a destination wedding. I didn't know where. I knew I didn't want to do like Europe or anything too far. That would be a major inconvenience to my guests. So that quickly narrowed it down to somewhere in the Caribbean. Um, I didn't want to do Jamaica because my family's from Jamaica. We travel there often. We have a vacation home there, so that canceled out Jamaica. I love Mexico. Willie, my husband and I, that was the first place we went to as a couple. So it kind of made sense for us to have a full circle moment and get married in Mexico. Once I decided on Mexico, the next challenge was to figure out where, because there's a million resorts in Mexico. And so that part of it was like, oh my gosh, how am I going to figure out where I want to get married? What's going to have the vibe that I want? Luxurious, but still, somewhat affordable for guests. Um, so that was an entire puzzle to figure that part out. And that's how I ended up finding you with Destination Weddings.
So, and one of the things that we did was once Cadell and I started talking and we narrowed some resorts down that were of interest to her, we were able to secure site visits. So we set up appointments for a transfer company to come and pick them up at the hotel, drive them to the appointments at the resort, and just make that experience for them safe and stress-free so they didn't have to worry about where they needed to be and when. We took care of all of that. So they were able to, we did that over 2 days, right? Like, I think
Yes.
we wound up canceling one day because you had already gone to Secrets Playa Blanca and you're like, this was it, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I'm the type of person that in the Facebook groups, a lot of brides get married sight unseen and they don't see the resort until the day they go there for their wedding week. But I knew that that was not going to work for me.
Right.
Um, Even if I hadn't had the chance to stay at the resort, I wanted to at least scope out the area, see the potential wedding venues. Um, and just see if it felt like the right kind of vibe for what we wanted. So doing the site visit was important to me. And, you can navigate it with certain resorts where you can go see one at a discounted rate. And then, we kind of use that to see other resorts besides the one that we stayed at, because we stayed at Hyatt Ziva
Yeah.
and then experienced, the full nine at Hyatt Ziva, but then we also wanted to see other places. So that was important for me to be able to lay eyes on things and figure out what worked for us. And I'm so glad that we did because we saw Secrets Playa Blanca and saw maybe four or five other resorts during those 2 days. And we were able to eliminate ones that we didn't want and create a short list for ones that we wanted to consider.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think
So
I
what
think
was your Secrets Playa Blanca it is a stunning property. Just from that first initial,
Mhm.
when you get out of that shuttle and you're in that open air lobby and just staring out at the water and everything. And
Just has a
I
Zen
was
feel.
there
Yeah.
for Romance Travel Forum, like right when it opened. And then I was there again back in September or can't remember. I'd have to go back and look. It was either
I did a
March or
site last year.
September. And
Yeah.
it was really nice to see how much the vegetation has
Yeah.
grown in,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and it's
But
starting
Yeah.
to fill out. And it's just once all of that grows up, it is just going to be mind blowing. It's mind blowing
Yeah.
now, but
It is.
it is beautiful. So let's talk about your site visit there. So you arrived, you met with the wedding team.
I did. I met with the wedding team and I think that day that was probably the second or the third property that we had seen. And, at some point things start kind of blurring together and um, you quickly realize what you're looking for in terms of, venue. If you want a private area versus if you want to get married in the center of the resort where everyone can see you. So that was something that we were looking for right away. Where are the venues? We knew we wanted to do a ceremony outside, but we didn't want to be on the beach. But we also did not want to be smack in the middle of the resort. Um, so once we met with the wedding team, they greeted us with a glass of champagne, which if you've been to Secrets Playa Blanca, once you get there, that view is just stunning. You're looking at the resort, you're seeing the ocean, and we knew that would be a great first impression for our guests if we went with that resort. So you're sitting, you're waiting for the champagne. All of that was a great experience. And then we started walking around the property and seeing the different areas where we could potentially have a ceremony, reception, cocktail hour. Um, and the property it's not huge in terms of feeling like you're going to get lost, but it is a good size for you to not lose your guests um,
Right.
while you're wandering around. So we like that aspect of it too.
Yeah, I'm sure that after you did the second or third site inspection on the hotels, you're like, okay, now we already know what questions we want to ask
Oh yeah.
immediately when we get to the next resort because you're going into it blindly, not knowing, what their expectations and thinking, oh, a nice beach wedding, and then you get there and you're like, I don't think I want to be here. So I think that was probably the first. I mean, like the second one, you were already right set that you knew exactly what you were looking for.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, we did. I think one of the first properties we saw was TRS or Grand Palladium, and it was a nice property for just vacation, but we immediately knew we didn't love the vibe. Like we loved their wedding venues, for example.
Mhm.
But it felt like Disney to us, the golf cart system.
Large. Yeah.
Yeah, it was too big. And even if we had all of our guests stay at the TRS side, the property just felt like we were going to lose our guests all weekend. And we wanted to be able to bump into people
Mhm.
on the way to breakfast or on the way to dinner and see our guests besides just wedding day.
Mhm.
Um, and so after touring Grand Palladium, we're like, okay, we don't think this is going to give that intimate, but still, luxury resort vibe that we want. Because number one, I just didn't like the concept of bus stops
Right.
and golf carts unless, I'm at Disney World or a convention.
Right.
So um after seeing that resort first, when we flipped over to Secrets Playa Blanca, it was very walkable from any room on the property. You could sort of get to the pool or the main hubs, and that was more so what we wanted.
Yeah, it has a total different vibe too. It's more relaxing.
Oh yeah, it felt like a spa. Every part of the property um, felt cohesive. There was no stone left unturned. It went like the entire property had that boho chic
Mhm.
aesthetic, and we just knew there was not going to be any bad rooms on this property. Every room was gorgeous,
Mhm.
Mhm.
um, and so we felt comfortable with that one. We loved it. The next thing was just to figure out pricing
Yeah.
because it is an expensive property.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. And well, we'll jump into the pricing in a second, but let's talk about the locations that you picked out. So obviously Secrets Playa Blanca has various different locations, some more private than others, but which ones did you pick for your ceremony and reception and cocktail hour?
Yeah, so we did our ceremony in the Courtyard Plaza, which is tucked off in the back of the property. near the spa. Um, exactly what we wanted. While, we didn't want sand, so Secrets didn't have a venue that gave you that view without being on the sand. But when we found the Courtyard Plaza, that was the perfect place for us because it was tucked away. You had a view of the vegetation. Unfortunately, you didn't have an ocean view back there, but it was worth the compromise for the privacy and the vision that I had for that venue. And so we did our ceremony at the courtyard and our cocktail hour. So we had them both there. And then we moved over to the ballroom, which was right next door for our reception.
And that courtyard area is really pretty. Like your times and everything, did you catch any of the golden hour of the sun setting back there?
Absolutely. We started at 5 p.m. and the ceremony was maybe 45 minutes closer. Yeah, maybe 45 minutes to an hour. Um, Side note, someone did pass out from heat stroke
Oh,
and
no.
from drinking earlier that day.
Ooh.
One of Willie's uncles did, but that was at the end of the ceremony. Um, but we did the ceremony there, and then we had cocktail hour there, and we had beautiful golden hour pictures just because
Mhm.
um, the sun is kind of coming down on that side of the resort in the evening. So we started by taking photos there in front of our floral arrangement, and then we kind of ran across the property to get pictures in other places. But we had great photos in the courtyard plaza.
Yeah, no, if anybody's listening, if you're interested in Secrets Playa Blanca in that courtyard location, if you do not have a minimum guest count, there will be a venue rental fee for that location.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Um, we had over 100 guests, so we were able to bypass that venue fee. But for smaller ceremonies, that's definitely something that you don't want to find out last minute.
Yes, because that can cut into a big chunk of your budget for what they charge for those
Mhm.
that venue area.
Mhm.
And what about the ballroom? How did you decorate? I didn't see any of your pictures yet for the
Oh,
ballroom with decor. So like how did you decorate the ballroom? Because that's a question people always get asked all the time is like, well, how do we decorate these ballrooms? There's just so much that we need to do because it's a ballroom. So how did you decorate your ballroom?
yes. So that was another factor that we had to consider when we were looking at resort properties. Some of the ballrooms were just so hideous and ugly. And so we knew we wanted to be indoors for the reception. We didn't want to kill our guests in the middle of June with heat stroke just because it's so hot. So when looking at properties, I zeroed in on ballrooms to make sure that they weren't naturally ugly and that, we could work with it. Um, so we got, I'm a very girly girl, so my ceremony colors involved lots of pinks and different shades of pink. So we did lots of pinks on our floral arrangements. We brought in our structure from the ceremony as our sweetheart table structure, so that helps to save money too. So that was a great focal point. Um, we had lots of gold accents, gold chairs, gold everywhere. Um, at the last minute, we thought about, should we drape the ballroom, which would have had, given it a nice vibe, super luxurious to kind of cover the walls. But the Secrets Playa Blanca ballroom really does not look terrible on its own. We
Yeah.
chose the ballroom that we did because it had huge floor-to-ceiling windows.
Mhm.
So we had good natural light coming in. So for golden hour, we were able to get some of that as well. Obviously, once it got dark, then it was just dark.
Right.
But those windows helped because we were able to add our sparklers to the outside of the window that went off during our first dance. Um, but I feel like in terms of ballroom setups, that ballroom was already nice as it is. So we were able to sort of cut costs by not having to completely transform it and do a full 360. We could have done more, but
Yeah.
it was a beautiful ballroom already.
Yeah, it's got those muted tones and it's really it's not that, like some of them you probably saw had bright blue carpets and yeah, they have
Yeah,
all muted tones. Yeah, so it's easy to deal.
right. And it
Yeah,
had
I
more of
had
a
someone
modern.
a couple of weeks ago say to me, I really like the ballroom, but do you think they would remove those ugly chandeliers? And I'm like, I don't think so.
Yeah, but you can. This is something that we did where you can add like your own lighting. I can't remember what
Mhm.
it's called, but you can add like s- uh not chandeliers, but some other form of chandeliers to kind
Yeah,
of accent the room. So you can
right,
little
right.
things like that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and if you have the budget, because obviously if you have money talks with any vision,
Mhm.
you can transform some of these ballrooms into whatever. Hey, look what Travis and Taylor just did with Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, exactly.
Who would have thought? But yeah, if you have money, you can transform anything.
Yeah.
Oh
So,
yeah.
but something happened after we signed the contract. We were several months into this process, and we get this call that we're like, okay, great. Now what? You want to share with everybody what happened?
Oh yeah. So a few weeks, I can't remember, maybe 2 months before the wedding or 6 weeks, maybe 2 months before the wedding, um, we find out that they double booked our ceremony and cocktail hour venue, the Courtyard Plaza, which was crazy because that was explicitly, we contracted for that venue. We knew that we were going to have it, so it was crazy. When we found out that another bride also reserved the courtyard on the same day at the same time as us. I don't know how that happened.
Right. Especially like we had their contract signed in June of 2025. So, it was a long time that took place between when we found out about this.
Yeah, yeah. And I don't know if it had something to do with the turnover in the wedding department, and maybe that's how, they ended up double booking, but as you can imagine, I was very upset to learn that they gave another bride my courtyard on my wedding day. Um, and I think before you started like pushing back on them, Mindy, they wanted to just have us like share it or do something where we would be
Yeah,
right
shift
next
they
door.
wanted us to just kind of like shift the times. Like, oh, we made this mistake, so we're just going to adjust everybody's times. And we're like, no, 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 no. That's not what's happening.
Yeah, absolutely not. Because no bride wants to see another bride a few feet away from her on her wedding day. Granted, some these resorts do multiple weddings on the same day, but not in the same place. That's
And typically not
insane.
at the same time either.
Right. And
Yeah.
not at the same time. So once we found that out, we were like, absolutely not. Absolutely not. We reserved this. That was the whole reason I chose this resort, because I didn't want a beach ceremony. So to not be able to get the courtyard would have been devastating. Um, but we weren't going to let that happen. Mindy wasn't going to let that happen.
Yeah,
That's
we got it all worked out. And did you ever wind up seeing that other couple on your wedding day?
I didn't see them on my wedding day. I think the day before the wedding, when we had our rehearsal welcome party, we did see another couple doing it at a different part of the resort. I think on they have like a patio rooftop, or no, the jungle pool. They had their
Mhm.
rehearsal dinner at the jungle pool. So I assume maybe that was the couple that was getting married on our wedding day. But
Okay.
outside of that, I did not see them. I was occupied in the bridal suite all day. And so by the time it got to wedding time, um, I had the blinders on. I couldn't see anything else. So we didn't run into them at all.
Yeah. And where did you do your welcome event? Which location?
We did it at the infinity pool.
Okay.
It was beautiful because we had the pool there, got golden hour pictures, and we were able to like overlook the ocean a little bit too.
Yeah.
So
So
stuff.
two different types of vibes from
Yeah.
rehearsal dinner event and then the actual wedding itself. So two different locations in the resort. So that's nice.
Yes, and it was great because that was the day a lot of our guests came into town, and so it was a great way to kick off the weekend. And we had an all white party, so the all white with the contrast of the blue waters, it was perfect.
so
Perfect.
so when you did your wedding planner, you had to initially gotten a wedding planner outside the resort. Um, when this was all kind of happening, I mean, were you dealing with the wedding department as well as your planner, or were you having meetings together?
You mean when they ended up double booking us the
Mhm.
venue?
Yes.
I did not deal with the wedding department at all between Mindy as my travel agent and my planner. Um, I did not have to speak with the wedding department. Of course, they were updating me and letting me know, what was going on and how things were moving, but I did not have any direct contact, maybe besides being like CC'd on an email with the wedding department.
Just was curious about that with this when this all went down, how they were responding to you, if they were working directly with your outside of planner that you were already working with. And so she should have handled it as well, and that you as the go-between. But sometimes the wedding resorts try to call you, the planners try to call you and talk to you. I just was curious if they did.
Yeah, no, they didn't. I think my planner and travel agent went to bat for me, so I really and in the middle of that, like trying to actually plan the wedding, I did not want to have to be going back and forth with the Secrets Wedding department and waiting on their slow responses. I didn't want to have to do that. So thankfully, I didn't have to.
That's
So
cool.
how was your experience trying to plan a wedding in Mexico? Obviously, you had one step ahead of some other couples because you actually had feet on the ground and was able to see the location and know what to expect when you arrived that day. But how did the planning go? Like, what were your thoughts on trying to plan all this from afar?
Ooh. Um, It is definitely, it can be intimidating, because there's a language barrier. Granted, most people that work at the resort, they speak, perfect English, but it can be intimidating because you're not from the same country, and so you're like, are people gonna try to pull a fast one and upcharge me because they know I'm American and I don't have the same leverage with the local vendors? So that part of it was overwhelming. But going into it, hiring, the right help to support me because my full-time job is all consuming. So I knew I was going to need support. That definitely made it easier. But, it's a wedding, so it doesn't take away from the fact that you have a lot of decisions to make. From napkins and songs and food and all the things. And picking the resort was kind of like just the first step. Once I did that, I'm like, oh crap, now I actually have to plan the damn thing. So,
Yeah.
um, that part of it was stressful. And I'll be honest, I did not enjoy the wedding planning process. I think now that I've made it through, I would enjoy helping other brides and giving them all the knowledge and all the information that I can give them. But during my own experience, having to make all the decisions at one time, that part of it was overwhelming. Um, but the key was just to stay organized as possible because things are moving quickly. And when there's a resort finally gets to you and gives you attention after months of not really hearing from them, it's go time. So organization was key and starting in advance also because trying to do it all in 3 or 4 weeks just would not have been enough time for me. And I'm more type A. I didn't think I was super type A, but I'm definitely more type A than type B in situations like this. So I just needed to know that things were moving um, as they needed to be. So that part of it was reassuring.
Yeah, I mean,
So did
as I say, I think that a lot of brides don't understand. I mean, because we try to tell you, that they're not going to get a hold of you for X many, but then all of a sudden it's just all thrown at you. And like you said, being organized. I I did my own destination wedding. I also did my son's destination wedding. So I've been on the planning process with you, and I can tell you. I mean, and we know because we do it every day, but I mean, on the flip side of it, I knew what to expect, but most everybody else goes in completely blind, and the experience is overwhelming.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it can be. Now one of my best girlfriends, she knows she wants to have a destination wedding and I'm like, "All right, I got you, girl. No problem. We can do this."
We can
Um,
help. We can help.
no,
I can tell you, don't worry.
yeah. Now I do, but then it definitely felt like um a huge hill to climb. And the other element was, well, I'll save that just in case you want to get to it. But it was stressful but manageable. So that's what I'll say.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Did you bring a lot of stuff with you from home for decor?
I did. I did because as a bride, you quickly learn that the resort charges you an insane upcharge, an insane tax on literally everything. I wanted certain things that were different than what the resort could provide. So, for example, I mentioned that I had gold accents. So I also wanted gold silverware. Um, I had no idea silverware would cost that much if I rented it from the resort. Um, and so after going on Amazon and just clicking around myself, I was able to get my silverware for like a fraction of the price. The only hassle was now I had to bring this with me to Mexico, right? Um, but either way, we packed 6 suitcases of stuff and got them all to Mexico, and it was kind of difficult, but I made long spreadsheets and checklists to make sure I had tablecloths, silverware. I brought little umbrellas for my guests to hold because it was hot out there. Fans, all the things I sort of brought on my own. Charger plates, those are very heavy. I would
Yeah.
not recommend bringing those,
They're
but
heavy all, yes.
yes, but I brought them just because I looked at what the resort was charging and it just didn't make financial sense. Even if I left some stuff at the resort, it would still have been worth it to bring it as opposed to paying thousands of dollars just to rent something from them.
Were
Mhm.
you hit up when you entered into the Mexico? Did you end up having to pay duty on all of that?
So I planned for that. I wrote a letter in English and Spanish, letting them know these are all the things that I'm bringing for my wedding. And I also divided the suitcases
Mhm.
um, accordingly. So I had clothes and decor in each suitcase. So I didn't pack a suitcase just full of decor. That way, to the naked eye, it would look like, oh my gosh, you're bringing in tons of stuff. I separated everything. So if any one suitcase got pulled, it didn't look like hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of stuff. And so we did that. My husband took 2 suitcases, I took some. And oh, we also had our moms bring some stuff for us and put it in their suitcases. So we just scattered things
Mhm.
so we didn't get hit with hundreds of dollars at the airport. But we did get pulled as soon as we made it through customs. They said, you come here. And they searched everything, but we had a letter explaining to them what it was and the approximate cost of everything. So we did not get charged anything, thankfully.
Oh, they didn't charge you.
Fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Usually they do. I mean, as a planner, occasionally when we bring things in for the bride because they couldn't bring it or they take some things, we do occasionally get pulled over and same thing. We do have to pay a duty, but as long as you have it all listed, it's good
Yeah.
to go. Yeah. Yeah.
And
What
it's an intimidating process, and I think it also has to do with like who is pulling you over, because some of those agents can be a little more intimidating than
Yeah.
others.
And I
yeah.
think if they see you quite often, so because I think
Oh,
sometimes
you
sometimes
again.
we're in Mexico like 16, 18 times a year. So,
Yeah.
they're like, oh, there she is again. I'm gonna pull her
Yeah.
over.
Oh
So,
yeah.
It's
oh
pretty
yeah.
sad when you start to recognize the airport personnel and they recognize you. It's like, oh
Yeah.
man.
I bet. They're like, all right, come on over. You
Come
know
on
the
over.
drill.
Let's see what you got
Yeah.
today. Like, what are you
Yeah.
bringing today? Let's see what
Yeah.
we can charge you for today. But I mean, if you have it, because there again, we always provide and let our brides know that this could happen, and just like you having that spreadsheet showing what's in there in both English and Spanish, what you paid for it, then you have an idea if you do get pulled over what you should be paying, so you're not overcharged on it.
Right. And although we didn't get pulled, I will say our DJ, he brought his equipment. We told him ahead of time, hey, you might get flagged because obviously his stuff looks big and bulky.
Hmm.
So we
Hmm.
gave him a heads up and he did get pulled and he ended up having to pay, I think, $200 or $300, which we kind of planned for that because we knew we probably couldn't avoid it.
Yep.
So he got pulled and I did remember we had a friend bring some banners for us, and because those bags kind of look like golf bags,
Yes.
Mhm.
they got pulled and ended up paying like $40. But
Mhm.
um, that was because they had things outside of a standard suitcase. So
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Mhm.
So, like with the rooms, from the time we did your room block to the time everybody was ready to travel, we did notice that rates were fluctuating a little bit, and we were able to do some price matches
yeah,
with the resort. So that was nice because we were able to lower everybody's rates a little bit. And that was a process in itself that took a little bit of time going back and forth with the resort and everything. But, luckily, I know Carol and I are really big on this. If, we're able to get those price matches approved, we definitely want to pass those savings on to the guests. So I think there was only one room category that we weren't able to get price matched,
Hmm.
just because of the way the rates were and everything. But for the most part, everyone did get a price reduction.
Yeah, yeah. I think um I with everything going on in Mexico around that time, I was checking the resorts rates frantically because I noticed things were shifting dramatically and some guests, didn't want to travel anymore. I assume there were lots of cancellations with the resort. Needless to say, the rates were going down. And I knew as long as things were safe, I was still having my wedding. So we wanted to take advantage of that. So we were able to get some prices adjusted for our guests.
Yeah, so that was nice.
Mhm.
Anything else you want to share about the process if you were to do it again? Is there anything you would do different?
Hmm. That's a good question. It's crazy. You always hear this when, brides say it will all come together, it will all work out. And every time someone told me that, I was like, yeah, okay, sure, whatever. But I will say, in terms of how a wedding weekend goes, the fact that you're having a destination wedding means that you have more time built in to kind of fix things and for your guests to enjoy themselves and for you to spend time with people, which you just don't get in a regular wedding. So even if everything is not perfect, I still feel like a destination was the right decision for me to have a destination wedding. Um, because those moments in the pool, in the hot tub, in the club, in desires, all of that kind of outweighs any bad things that might happen or any detail that doesn't go according to plan. Um, so I still, I have no regrets about doing the destination wedding. I'd say if I could have done something differently, um, maybe I would have started sooner. I would have started earlier because trying to find a date, a Saturday, in the middle of summer at these resorts, it was very difficult. And um, obviously, if you want to get married on a weekend, that's going to impact pricing as opposed to getting married on a random Tuesday. So just starting as early as you can if you know that you want to have a destination wedding, even if you don't know um, the color scheme or the things that you want to do in terms of details, try to lock in, your resort and your date as early as possible because brides are already booking for like 2028 and it's
Mhm.
2026 now. And
Yeah.
so when you're competing against people that are planning a wedding for 2.5 years, um, I planned my wedding in a year and a half. So I was already like at a disadvantage because I couldn't find a date that I wanted. So I would have started earlier. That's the main thing.
Mhm.
Yep. I agree. Having, I think the big, besides the experiences in a destination wedding, I think that that is half of it. Being a parent that's had kids get married, non-destination wedding, destination wedding. I did enjoy the destination wedding more because I got to spend quality time with family, friends for a longer period of time than just that 2 to 5 hours. I think that makes a big difference.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. My guests are still raving. They're like, "We want to go on another vacation. We only want to go to a Secrets. It has to be just like that." And I'm like, they're like, "We want to go back to that same resort." I'm
Mhm.
like, "You're not going to find the same resort anywhere else, just so you know."
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, everyone is still talking about it being the best wedding that they've ever been to, the resort being the best resort that they've ever stayed at. Um, so that part I would do again and again and again. That was amazing.
Yeah, because when you're doing a destination wedding, and this is something we talk about very early on in the process, it's not just about that wedding day. It's about that whole entire guest experience as well.
Yes, absolutely. And that was the big thing for me. As many of you probably realize, I was a very, very picky bride. I wanted my guests to have a very special experience because I travel a lot, but for a lot of our guests, they had never been out of the country. They just got passports to come to this wedding. This was a big deal for them. And so I knew that I wanted it to be, if God forbid, this is the last vacation they go on, this one would be memorable. And it definitely was. So
Awesome.
I spent a lot of time pondering resorts and figuring out rooms and trying to, get Mindy to help me with rates because all of that was just important for me to give my guests a good experience and good value.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm so glad everybody had a great time, and I'm so happy that you got the wedding of your dreams.
Yeah.
And we wish you and Willie a lifetime of happiness.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, it was amazing and I'm glad I'm on the other side of it. But the memories are amazing. I'm just so happy that we did it.
Yeah.
Oh,
I think,
good.
yeah, yeah. I'd like to thank you for coming on today and taking time out of your day. We know it's your lunch hour and you're busy, busy gal, but we really appreciate that. We'll be putting this out and we'll get you a copy of it as well, but we'll be putting this out on our podcast page on our YouTube channel. And we are also on Facebook and TikTok and Instagram, I believe. And then we also have our website.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm always happy to share my experience because now that I'm a former destination bride, I feel like I have a lot of insight that I can share. So I'm happy to be here.
That's awesome. I
Yeah.
appreciate your
Well,
time.
we appreciate you taking time out of your day to be with us. And it's always nice when we have couples that say graduated
Yes.
on here to talk about their experience because again, Carol and I do this every single day. So we're like, oh yeah, that's just normal. It's just normal.
It'll be fine.
But
And then you're like,
but
on the
like
other,
when
like, no.
you're in that moment, it's very frustrating for you. And things do work out and things, but it's a very frustrating process and because like you have no control over all this stuff,
Yeah.
and it's like, oh, I gotta wait 3 months until the resort is ready to talk to me, but I have questions now and I want to do this and I want to have this locked in and so
Yeah, yeah, it can be super frustrating in terms of budgeting, just knowing where you're at in numbers. You don't want to know that 2 weeks before your wedding. So,
yeah.
um,
Yes. I mean,
yeah.
we try to set everything up so that, your payments are in at least, 3 to 6 months ahead. So you have your numbers, then they should be able to easily, but like you said, the turnaround time at most of these resorts is not very fast.
Oh yeah, slow, slow, which is why it's always useful to have someone advocating for you
Mhm.
with rooms and everything because you don't want to sit on the phone or sit in your email waiting for them to get back to you. It just takes forever.
Oh, it would have
Yeah.
been twice as much stress for you if you would have tried to take this all on in yourself.
Yes.
Yeah, you would not even have enjoyed your arrival or any of your destination.
No,
Well, it's
no.
not even just the wedding part. Think about trying to do this and answering all your guest questions.
Oh yeah.
So,
Oh,
does the room have a hair dryer? Where's my room going to be? What is the it's
Logistics. How do I get from the airport? All that stuff. You would have, like I said, you would have never.
oh, I would have exploded. I would not have had the patience to deal with all of that while trying to plan the wedding, and being the bride. Absolutely not. I was like, field all questions like that to Mindy. I can't handle it.
And do you feel, and as in the value that you got in return for everything, do you feel that in all, it was very worthwhile to use someone that you felt was working for you, which I know Mindy does because I work alongside Mindy, but you felt that that was worth every cent that you had by using someone you trusted.
Yeah, I absolutely do. It took a lot of the mental load off of my head. Um, just knowing that if someone needed to adjust their room or, you know, their roommate couldn't make it anymore and now they needed to make a cancellation, I did not have to deal with any of that. All of that was going on behind the scenes, and unless, they told me or Mindy told me, I really
Yeah.
did not have any role in how that went. So
It's typically the way.
I it was great. Yeah, I didn't want to have to worry about
Yeah.
the little details of travel and transport or someone missed their flight and now
Nope, nope,
I don't want to know.
nope,
I don't want to
nope.
hear
That's
it.
amazing. That's just, I mean, it just makes things so much easier for you.
It
Then you
does.
only have to worry about your wedding. That's all you have to worry about.
Absolutely. Yes. The wedding is stressful enough. So
Mhm.
worrying about travel and stuff, I didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
Okay.
thank you.
All
I
right.
didn't have to.
Well, Okay, well, again, I want to thank you as well as Mindy on behalf of Mindy and I. We really enjoyed our conversation today. Um, if you have any other comments, anybody of the brides that come onto our podcast, you can comment below and we can maybe give you some answers to the questions that you might have in regards to the experience that she had at Secrets Playa Blanca.
Yes, thank you everyone for tuning in. If you want to learn more about Secrets Playa Blanca or any other resort throughout Mexico and the Caribbean, you can reach out to Carolyn and myself, and we'd be happy to set up a complimentary consultation with you and walk you through the destination wedding process to see if it is a good fit for you.
Okay. Thank you guys for joining us today. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more wedding inspiration and tips. Visit us at destinationweddingtalk.com for resources and updates. And as always, send us your questions to Mindy and Carol. We love hearing from you. Join us again next week for the latest episode of Wedding Talk with Mindy and Carol. Until then, happy planning.